Hello, I'm Michael Souza and I'm the host here of Jogos do Tabuleiro board game channel, a YouTube channel about board games that is speaked in Portuguese. So almost all videos are spoken in Portuguese, and you can see that English, it's not my native language, and I'm doing this video only to share what were my favorite 5 games of the year 2023 with my English speaking friends. So this is a kind of a short video similar to the video that I've done in Portuguese. So as in the other English speaking videos, I ask my apologies, but this is the possible English, the English that I can do. Well, let me just do the top 5. I will talk about the 5 games that I enjoyed the most and I think are great designs from 2023. My number 5 was Evacuation. It's an Euro game. I could say that it's complex enough. It's towards the most complex Euro games of the year. It's a strategy game. It's an engine building game where the novelty is that you are managing 2 productions at the same time. You need to control 2 planets and you need to do the logistics between the two planets, combining and balancing the production of one system to the other. And the games as it progresses will ask you to do specific things and to guarantee specific levels and thresholds of productions in each planet. That will be difficult, that will be a challenge, and you need to balance all these resource needs with your scoring, with the goals of the game. So this will be quite challenging. It's a game that can be prone to some paralysis analysis because you need to think every step, you need to plan 2 turns, 3 turns ahead. So it's not, I would say that's not an easy game to enter. It's a difficult game to master, but I think it's a masterpiece in this Euro board game style where you need to control a lot of resources, you need to plan everything. There's not a lot of interactions between the players, so it's a good game to play solo. The interactions, mostly it's if you choose a ship first, if you choose a card first, an infrastructure, if you occupy a space in the new planet before all the other players, that will give you some specific abilities and rewards, and that's the main interactions. The game, it's more about strategic resource management and planning. Number 4 is Kuta. It's a more standard medium complexity Euro game. It's very pretty. I love the production, the graphical design, the illustrations, this dark vibe of the game, but with some colors and with some details that almost shine, with some physical components that are made of recycled materials. Well, it's very interesting. It's a game about production, about area control, where you score based on the places where you place the buildings, but also based on the ability of your engine to produce money, because money, it's the core resource of the game. Everything is transformed into money. Although there's several resources to manage, there's a very interesting market system that is updated through a system of tracks and cards that change as players make transactions of resources. So it's very interesting. It's difficult to predict the market, but with the right amount of experience on the game, you can have some notions of what it will be or what it is possible, because changing the values will affect all the players and it will affect your ability to do the buildings, to do the upgrades, to do the progression in the game. And there's also the mining aspect of exploring new places to get the silver, because it's a game about silver production and silver transformation into coins. Well, I think it's a interesting game, not that long. 2 hours, even less. You can play in even less time. I think it's a great example of an Euro game, standard medium Euro game. Number 3 is Earth. I love card games. I have a background of Magic the Gathering, so I'm always excited when I see a card game that challenges me and where I can build an engine building. So this is an engine building game where you combine the cards to produce resources, to transform the resources into points and more abilities. And I like the theme. We are building an ecosystem, an island, with the climate dimensions, with the soil properties, with vegetation that will support other vegetation and other life forms. I think it's very interesting. It's very beautiful, very beautifully illustrated. And I think it's very interesting also because there's a planning of combination of cards. The places where we place the cards matter, and we always do something even when it's not our turn to play. Some of these card games have this problem. You play your turn, you combine, do a lot of things, but then you need to wait until all the other players do their actions. In this case, usually you do something in the turn of the other players, so you are interested to see what they choose. So I think it's a good system. It's not very, very complicated. It's medium weight, I would say, but will provide you with a lot of interesting choices, without a lot of complexity. So I think this is a good balance between options, between the possibility of making interesting engines without having excessive complexity. And because it's a card game, it has a lot of replayability, and it's great to play solo. Number 2 is Nucleum. It's a game that I would say that is inspired in Brass, although we cannot say this for sure, but I'll guess it is. It's a game about managing resources, making connections, trying to take the most of the map, using the resources that are available to fuel power plants that will generate energy to fuel and to energize your buildings. And you control the networks. There's some interactions in the networks that you can create, and you can place in the board to connect the sources of the energy to the places you need to provide the energy. So it's interesting. It's a system that goes and it is inspiring the Eurogame mechanisms of choosing actions, of tile placement. And it's an interesting system to create the networks, because we are putting tiles that are actions, and then you can expect the other players help you build the connections because they have a positive feedback. They will get and earn things by helping you doing the connections. And there's some interactions in the network, in the system that we build. And there's also competition, and you can control your own system. The production system is very interesting, incentivizes you to make a lot of actions and then take bigger and high incomes. So there's a lot of things to manage. You can control your tiles that you get to do the actions and to place the networks. So it's kind of a deck building with tiles, because we are going to have a lot of cycles of productions of using these tiles, and also this interactive way to place the scoring system, the end game scorings. And it's also like a race, so you need to take attention and take care of what the other players are doing, because you need to control the end game, and you can affect how and where the game will be ending, and this will affect a lot of your scoring, and also the places you want to control in the board makes all the difference. Because I love economic games, heavy games. This is an economic game on the heavier side of Euro games, so it was fantastic. My number 2. And my number 1 was Hegemony. It's a complex game. It's more like a simulation, and because it is a simulation, it's complex, as I said, because it has several rules exceptions. It is the exceptions that allow us to do simulation, because in a specific thing, when we try to replicate a specific thing, it will provide a different rule, and the system is difficult to understand by new players. And this is even higher because of the symmetry of the game. You are representing a social class that are clashing, that are in the struggle to dominate and to have a better life, a better way of living, and each class has its own ways to do it and its own goals, and it's totally asymmetric, and this requires the players to learn almost a different game if they are playing with a different faction. In this case, we can play with the working class, middle class, the capitalists, and the state. And it's very interesting because they are all interconnected. The things that we do affect the others. You have cards, the game has Eurogame mechanisms, but it supports a very interesting narrative. You really feel it's abstracted, but you feel you are doing something really connected to the class, and this generates almost like a role-playing. I think the game was great because it's my gaming memories, best gaming memories of the year, because of this role-playing experience where you start to make jokes and you start to mess around, of course in a good way, mess around with the other players, and this is the funniest part of the game because it's really connected to the things that we are doing in the mechanical system of the game. So a very complex game, difficult to bring to the table because it requires players that really know how to play the game, that are open to a complex experience, and for all of this it's difficult to play, but every time I've played I loved it. I have memories of the game, and I think it's one of the best ways to evaluate if the game is good, is this type of memories and the will to play again. And I'm always interested in playing it again. Sometimes I cannot do it because I don't have the time or the people to play with it, but when I have, we usually choose this one. Hegemony, my number one of the year. So this was my top 5 games of the year, shared here in English language. Sorry about the language, it's what I can do, but I think I need to do this more often because I want to and I need to connect with my English speaking friends, and this is a way to share the games that I think are very good, and a way to make them also available, and a way to have more people playing them. So thank you for the attention, thank you for the support, and I will try to do more content like this in the future. Thank you, bye bye.